Tolkien fans have not been excited about the Rings of Power and the mess of a show it seems it will be. Maybe it'll be amazing, though we're all very skeptical, and the backlash doesn't seem like it will stop anytime soon. But there's been a very big rumor circulating right now that Amazon has decided to fire a well-known Tolkien scholar from the show because he dared to tell the creatives they were polluting the lore. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or support the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So I wanted to start with this Bounding into Comics article. It says the Lord of the Rings scholar Tom Shippey fired for telling Prime Video they were polluting the lore. Now, as it says, this is a rumor, so of course take it with a grain of salt until Prime Video makes a statement, or until he makes a statement. This is just a rumor. But it wouldn't really surprise me at this point to hear about a situation like this. It says a new rumor claims that Tom Shippey, the Lord of the Rings scholar and former consultant on the Rings of Power, was fired from the Prime Video show because he was warning them that they were polluting the lore. Now, I would love for this reason to be true, that he was telling these creatives in Prime Video that, hey, you're polluting the lore, you're not really following the source material, because that would mean that at least someone that was part of this project actually cared about the things that we cared about. But it also wouldn't surprise me that if someone did that they would kick that person off of the project, because they are doing basically whatever they want with this show. They're not really following source material. We know that they're jumping around with the events of the Second Age. They're not really following a lot here. So it wouldn't surprise me that someone would come onto this project and say, hey, you're not doing it right, and they'd give them the boot. When Prime Video first announced the series in July 2019, they revealed Shippey was part of the production as a Tolkien scholar. Now, we do know that this series has quite a few Tolkien scholars who are consulting on it, and also who are giving interviews on this show. I mean, when they announced the release date, they had this giant article, and it talked to all of these different Tolkien scholars. Even if they weren't directly involved with the show, they still got to see production photos early and whatnot. I have a problem with the Tolkien scholars they've been working with, primarily because they don't actually care about the source material. They're just people who want to see diversity, inclusivity shoved into the show at all costs, even if it means you're sacrificing good characters and established characters. But Tom Shippey is someone that is very known in the Lord of the Rings scene, and he is someone who has talked a lot about not only the Rings of Power, but also Tolkien's work in general. He is one of the more, I would say, trustworthy Tolkien scholars. It says, however, back in February, Vanity Fair led their readers to believe that he was canned for giving an unsanctioned interview to a German fan site where he talked about, what the show could and could not explore. Now the new rumor comes from a YouTuber claiming that he was actually canned because he was warning Prime Video that they were polluting the lore. Now again, this is a rumor, take it with a grain of salt, but it also wouldn't be surprising to hear somebody who cares about this, franchise and this lore be respected. This creator said, I'm now beginning to believe the real reason that he was fired wasn't because he gave some interview to a German magazine that broke his NDA. That's something that you get a slap on the wrist for. As long as he wasn't going out into an interview, spilling all of these inside details, telling everyone all of these secrets, yeah, I don't see them really firing him for that unless they really wanted him gone, and that was just kind of the great excuse that they came up with. That is something that I feel you would get a slap on the wrist for. He then revealed it's because I heard from multiple sources that he would tell Payne and McKay that Prime was polluting the lore. Not only would this creator detail this rumor regarding Shippey's firing, but he would also talk about how, Prime Video is including nudity in the show, as revealed in a number of behind the scenes photos from the production, as well as a newly released photo from the show. I personally don't have a giant issue with there being nudity in this, as long as it's not overwhelming, right? One nude scene, maybe a season, or 2 scenes of nudity a season, in my opinion, isn't a make or break detail for this show. Now, if they did it as much as something as Game of Thrones, clearly you could see that they were trying to copy Game of Thrones with this series, and they decided to shove it in there thinking that it would get people talking, and, maybe it would draw certain people into the show. I don't know what their thinking would be for shoving a bunch of nudity into this series, but I don't think it's the end of the world that this content would be in the show. But at the same time, if it was my series and I was making the decision, I of course wouldn't put nudity in it because it wasn't in Tolkien's work. And towards the end of his video, Molo also noted Prime Video believes this is the perfect opportunity to not only dishonor Tolkien, to use the estate, who all they care about is cashing a check, but this is a way to cement our legacy and honor Bezos' command, bring me Game of Thrones. And we know that Jeff Bezos wants his own Game of Thrones equivalent, and that's probably why they bought The Lord of the Rings. That's why they wanted to work with this franchise, and that is why they're making something like The Rings of Power, not to follow source material, not to respect Tolkien's writing. No, it's only to make as much money as quickly as possible. And we know that they're shoving billions of dollars into this series. I don't really think it's going to make that money back. I don't think that it's going to pay off, especially looking at all of the backlash that has been going on, but only time will tell. Scrolling down, though, it talks about, while specifically discussing the images, the creator details, this is the exact opposite of what McKay told Vanity Fair in February. We already know at this point that the producers, the showrunners, the directors of this series are all liars. They don't actually care about the source material, unfortunately, and people can clearly see this. If we go to the newest teaser trailer, it is being absolutely ratioed, and I have talked about this in another video, but I wanted to bring it up really quickly because that ratio is still going up. It's almost at 11 million views with 65,000 likes and 253,000 dislikes. And even with the other teasers, Amazon doesn't want people talking about the negative aspects of the show. They don't want people criticizing the show, because we know that with the first trailer, they deleted over 30,000 comments after a few weeks, and a lot of people are wondering if they are removing comments from this teaser, if at some point a lot of these dislikes are going to disappear, because we know that magically over 1 million dislikes disappeared from the previous teaser as well. Clearly, people are not loving what they're seeing with the Rings of Power. People are criticizing it, and it wouldn't be surprising to hear a Tolkien scholar that was part of this project was also criticizing it. So at this point, this is just a rumor. We do not know if he was actually fired for telling them they were polluting the lore, but it is very believable. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.